Dr. Fauci, been in a lot of hot water, up and down, many people saying he's a hero. He's somebody who is saving American lives. He's kind of the only trusted medical professional for many people in this country. The other side of the country thinks that the guy is a little bit dishonest or a little bit disingenuous or maybe even a liar. One of those people is Rand Paul, who specifically asked him about that during a Senate hearing and sent a letter, in fact, over to the Department of Justice telling them that not only is he calling hyperbolically, for example, or metaphorically, for example, Dr. Fauci a liar, he's also saying he actually lied to Congress in violation of the criminal legal statutes in this country. So he's sort of a metaphorical liar, but he's also just an actual criminal liar in addition to it. We have the criminal complaint now over from Jerry Dunleavy. Said here's the criminal referral that he sent over to Merrick Garland, which of course is the Attorney General, asking the Biden DOJ to open an investigation into whether Dr. Fauci lied during a Senate testimony hearing when he said that the NIH, which is the National Institutes of Health, had never funded the gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab. So we're going to go through this letter real quickly. Just wanted to show you what it looks like. We'll start up here at the top. This was sent some time ago, and we talked about this because there have been a series of different clips between Rand and Dr. Fauci where they're battling it out back and forth. And one of the big kind of debates here has been not even about the coronavirus, right? We're all sort of just really enmeshed in this conversation about the coronavirus. So it's easy to talk about lab escape and Wuhan and all this stuff. Not talking about that. Rand Paul specifically is talking about gain-of-function research. Whether that gain-of-function research led to the coronavirus, that would be good to know. But that's putting the cart before the horse. We've got to ask ourselves that first question. Was the U.S., was the NIH, was NIAID, was Dr. Fauci, through EcoHealth Alliance, through Dr. Daszak, through Dr. Shi, Batwoman, in the Wuhan lab of virology, what was that entire chain set in motion by U.S. dollars? Was Dr. Fauci allowing that funding to cascade down into Wuhan? So that's the first question. Was NIH funding gain-of-function research? That's it. Not the COVID, not any, did it escape from a lab or was it not? Nobody cares about that for this conversation. Okay. So he says, Dear Attorney General Garland, you're the Attorney General. I write to urge you and the United States Department of Justice to open an investigation into testimony made to the U.S. Senate Committee on Health, Education, and Labor by Dr. Fauci on May 11th. He is the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. And I'm going to show you this clip, but he says, as one of the institutes that compose the National Institutes of Health, NIAID funds many scientific projects in the U.S. and elsewhere. In response to questioning by me, Rand Paul, Dr. Fauci testified that, quote, the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Here is that clip of Dr. Fauci and Rand Paul from May 11th.
Fauci, do you still support funding of the NIH funding of the lab in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute
Do they fund
of Virology.
Dr. Barrick?
We do not fund.
Do you fund Dr. Barrick's gain-of-function research?
Dr. Barrett does not doing gain-of-function research,
Listen.
and if it is, it's according to the guidelines, and it is being conducted in North Carolina, not
You don't think
in
inserting
China.
a bat virus spike protein that he got from the Wuhan Institute into the SARS virus is gain-of-function?
That is
You would
not-
be in the minority because at least 200 scientists have signed a statement from the Cambridge Working Group saying that it is gain-of-function.
Yeah, so this is where we're getting into the mincing words, right? A lot of gray area here, but a very important distinction to make. This is where they're saying, it's sort of like what Bill Clinton did. Well, it depends on what the definition of the word is, right? They're talking about gain of function. Rand Paul says, I know what gain of function means. I've got a lot of people here, a lot of scientists, over 200 of them, that said specifically that taking a bat spike protein and injecting it, inserting it into a COVID, a coronavirus, that is sort of, the Frankenstein chopping the head off and attaching it to another body is the same, concept that we've been talking about here. Rand Paul says that's gain of function, and I've got a lot of people who will back me up on that. Dr. Fauci is saying, no, it's not, and you've been dishonest about this, and so they're battling over this, right? What's the definition of a sandwich, right? Can you use this and use that? They're mincing words over this, and this is what bureaucrats typically do. So Fauci's going to hide behind a lot of his definitional language. Rand Paul, in his letter over to the DOJ, now comes back out and says, listen, I've got some evidence about this. We know what Dr. Fauci said. He said the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research. Okay. He also says that in May 2016, we have this other report comes out from the National Science Advisory Board for Biosecurity. They released a report entitled Recommendations for the Evaluation and Oversight of Proposed Gain-of-Function Research. And they say in here that the term gain of function is generally used to refer to changes resulting in the acquisition of new or an enhancement of existing biological phenotypes. In other words, it gains function. It's new, it's an enhancement. It goes from one version to something that has more functions. Okay, this is the entire purpose of the research in the first place. They want to take viruses that might naturally evolve. They want to put them through a copy machine so that they can see how it might naturally evolve so that they can develop therapeutics to combat those viruses. So that sounds like gain of function. It actually is referred to in this study, which is the same one that Rand Paul is talking about, the recommendations for the evaluation and oversight. Again, May 2016, a report for the Science Advisory Board of Biosecurity. And when you read through this document, you're going to see here, recently, the phrase gain of function research has become synonymous with certain studies, but they say, there's some things to sort through here. This is when it works. This is when it doesn't work. They say specifically that the term gain of function is generally used to refer to changes resulting in the acquisition or enhancement. We already read that. This report defines gain of function of concern to describe a subset of studies that have been the subject of recent debate. These gain of function studies, with the potential to generate pathogens with pandemic potential in humans, exhibit high transmissibility and high virulence. Right? Okay, so he's referencing a study which is referencing the idea that certain viruses are enhanced so that they have high transmissibility, high virulence, and sounds like gain of function research to me if you're going to be taking a bat spike protein and injecting it into another virus. So he just references that to say this is how we're defining the term. It's gaining function. Okay, so then we go back to his letter and he says, in a paper entitled Discovery of a Rich Gene Pool of Bat SARS-Related Coronaviruses, we have new insights into the origin of SARS. We have Dr. Shi over here, Bat Lady. She describes research conducted at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Under this award, right, so he's referencing specifically the NIAID gave money to Wuhan under R01, A11, AI, whatever that is, in which the spike genes from two uncharacterized bat SARS-related coronavirus strains, RS4231, RS737, were combined with the genomic backbone of another SARS-related coronavirus to create a novel chimeric SARS-related virus that showed cytopathic effects in primate epithelial cells and replication in human epithelial cells. These experiments combine genetic information from different SARS-related viruses and combine them to create a novel artificial virus able to infect human cells. The research conducted at Wuhan fits the definition of gain-of-function research. So do you see what he did? Very logical conversation, very logical laying out of this document. He says, this is what Dr. Fauci said. He said we didn't do any gain-of-function. Then he said, he said it's not gain of function. So we define it from a science advisory board. We define what gain of function is. We know that it's sort of mixing and mashing viruses so that they can replicate in human cells. He goes specifically through the data and says, look, here's the chain of custody. Here's the sequence of events. We funded this virus and this virus. They mashed them together. They actually tested it. All of it's documented under an NIAID award. So he says, okay, well, NIAID, you said you didn't fund them. Looks like you did. We're going to refer over to the law. What does 18 U.S. Code 1001 say? Well, he's referencing this. This is what it says specifically, right? And he's pulling out this subsection that says, whoever makes any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement as part of any investigation is subject to criminal fines and imprisonment. Let's see where that is. So falsifies, conceals, or cover up any trick, makes material false, fictitious, or fraudulent statements to anybody in the legislative branch of the government of the United States. All right. So materially false or fictitious or fraudulent statements? I don't know. Sounds like maybe. Rand Paul has a pretty good chain there, doesn't he? Is it going to go anywhere with the DOJ? Let's see what you think. He wants a timely response from Rand Paul. I ask that you investigate whether Dr. Fauci's statements to Congress on May 11th violated that statute or any other. I look forward to your timely response. All right, let's see what you have to say about this. We've got some questions over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And it looks like we had a super chat from the last segment. Let's take a quick look at this one. It says from Bonnie Speck. Hey, Bonnie says, can they require all federal contractors to get their employees vaccinated or Medicare funded nursing homes? So it looks like the answer to that is going to be yes. Right now, I'm not an employment lawyer, and I don't know the specifics of these mandates because they're not out yet. They're going to be coming out apparently on Thursday, but apparently those are well underway. The OLC has laid the legal framework for that. As long as you have information that you can reject it, the mandate is separate from that. So they can actually mandate it, and we'll see where that goes. It's going to work its way up to courts, but you got to remember, right, if you're a federal contractor and you want that federal contract, they can put terms on those contracts. If you are a Medicare-funded nursing home, you're involved with a government program. If you want that Medicare funding and your employer says you got to go get the vaccine, well, they're allowed to do that now. So we're going to see a lot more of that. Okay, let's take some questions over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We got a beautiful form over there, and let's see who is here in the house. We got Kenny1B says, if you have the resources to homeschool a parent, that is exactly what the left wants. More school resources that you are taxed for and then distributed to lower income and minority folks. From Kenny1B. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you actually pull your child out of a school, and that means that your child doesn't need the resources, right? It sort of fills up a seat or frees up a seat for another student. And so now you're coming out of your pocket to pay for your homeschooling, but you're also funding the tax bill for other people's students. It's a good point. We have some other ones here. Says, Be Brave says, they won't even investigate the nursing home COVID deaths. Fauci will never be investigated by the current regime. You're exactly right? And this is why I've been saying, it's not really about COVID so much. If they really wanted to save people or get to the bottom of whoever's responsible for a lot of the problems with COVID, right? You'd look to the people like Cuomo who were responsible for grossly negligent decisions that resulted in literally thousands of deaths. So when they want to come and scream at me for, not wanting to put a mask on or for complaining that the gyms get closed or whatever, right? I didn't make that decision that resulted in thousands of dead New Yorkers like Cuomo did, right? I can't imagine if I were in his position, I would have made that same decision. Can't imagine you would have either. Seems like he made a pretty bad one on that one. All right, we have Sharon Quidney says, this is all political kabuki. The DOJ going after anybody except Trumpers, libertarians, independent thinkers, and especially Capitol Hill domestic terrorists, insurrectionists, and white supremacists. Don't make me laugh. I know. I'm sorry about that, Sharon. I was trying to slide one through, but you caught me. I know you're too good for me. I know it. We have Want to Know says, Rob, you reported on Steve Hilton on Fox. They had grant money going to Wuhan 6 months ago because Obama stopped this research. Steve Hilton, did I report that? I don't recall that, Want to Know, but I'll take your word for it. Todd Trout is in here, says, Rob, my wife is a great judge of character. After all, she married me. First time she saw Fauci, she saw a rat. He's a lying bureaucrat. He also kind of looks like that to some degree. Not to poke fun, right? People say, people have said that I look like certain things. I don't take offense to it. It's just kind of, one of the things. That's okay. We have Todd Trout. Thank you for that, Todd. And cheers to your wife. She made a very good decision. Miss Todd Trout out there. Aircraft Mech 123 says, considering a vaccinated person carries the same viral load as the unvaccinated, isn't this just accelerating the spread? Just because people are positive doesn't necessarily mean they are in harm, i.e. symptomatic. Yeah, so it's a good question. If the viral load, if you have a high viral load and you're shedding it, maybe you are asymptomatic because the vaccine is preventing you from being overly symptomatic, but you think that it's not COVID, right? You think that it's minor. because you've been vaccinated. So you say, well, I can go to that bar. I can go to that restaurant. I can go to that event because I'm not COVID positive. So you're the super spreader, not the unvaccinated people who maybe get sick and go, ugh, might be COVID. Better go get it tested, right? So we'll see. I think it's a plausible explanation for some of this stuff. Be Brave says, isn't the real legal question on gain of function in this instance going to come down to the fact that the NIH grant went to the middleman before reaching Wuhan? Yes. So certainly, right? It went to EcoHealth Alliance. It went to Dr. Daszak, who was part of the original Lancet article, right? So this is where all of the conflict of interest stuff comes into play as well. You've got the NIAID, NIH funding EcoHealth Alliance. EcoHealth Alliance then subcontracts out to Wuhan, right? So everybody's sort of passing the buck. You insulate yourself as the government from any chain of malfeasance, and it all trickles down to Wuhan. Then when some people started scratching around there saying, hey, did this leak out of Wuhan? You have Dr. Daszak, who is the CEO or whatever of EcoHealth Alliance, who pens a letter in the Lancet along with a lot of other gain of functioners, all coming out and saying, oh no, there's no way this came from a lab. And you go, well, that's your lab. Essentially, you were subcontracting to them. So of course you're going to say that. But nobody knew about that conflict of interest at the time. And so everybody just lapped that up, that statement. And then Dr. Christian Andersen came out a couple of weeks later in a different article and said something very similar. And so you go, this kind of feels like collusion. Maybe if we would have had some of the truth back in February and March of last year, we could have responded to this thing differently. Maybe the election would have gone differently. If it had been more publicly acceptable, this thing leaked from a lab in China. The only person talking tough on China was Donald Trump. So is this political or is this medical? I don't know. That's from Be Brave. Good to see you, Be Brave. We have some super chats that came in. We got a super chat from Eric D says, balls or no balls. And folks, this is a family show. So we're talking about sports there. PG-13 show, family show, but definitely balls. And I answered that question on Rekida's show. Definitely. And at the moment when he asked me, I wasn't really aware of what he was talking about. I still actually don't specifically know what he's talking about, but I reasoned my way through it. So I went with balls, and I think that's the right answer. Now that I know a little bit more about it, that is the right answer. Great question, Eric D. Thank you for that. We have Beth Coddington says, Robert, I'm not sure if I wish upon a star. I'm sure if I wish upon a star, Fauci be prosecuted. That's how likely it is to happen. Sign, Pannonia. Thank you for that, Beth Coddington. Maybe you should write a jingle. You know, a lot of people are writing jingles about Fauci. Maybe you could write a jingle about Fauci. Just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. We have Kenny 1B says, great segment. This is the type of analysis that I like to see. Thank you there, Kenny 1B. Appreciate you being here for that. Yeah, I think, I wanted that letter for a long time. I don't know why it took me so long to find it, but it's a good one. Terry F., very pithy comment, says, going nowhere. I know, but we had to look. We can be optimistic on some of these things. Peely Wally says, bravo to Dr. Rand Paul. I'm not even American. I'm fed up of seeing that smug and smarmy Dr. Fauci. Yeah, I saw a headline. Frank Luntz was over on CNN telling CNN, don't put Dr. Fauci on your show anymore, okay? Because nobody likes to listen to the guy. We've heard enough from him. We're sick of it. And Frank Luntz, who's this, fake Republican pollster out there, says that Republicans are really turned off by Dr. Fauci, which is certainly the case, right? He's changed his position too many times. When somebody does that, you lose trust in them because you consider them to be dishonest. And so I think Frank Luntz is onto something. He should not be around anymore. I don't know why the White House kept him around. I think that a new administration would have sort of set him by the sides. Okay, thanks for your service. You've got that Trump albatross hanging around your neck, and that's going to, saddle our administration. We're going to start fresh, bring in somebody new, and sort of do a hard reset, but they didn't do that. We have Lorenzo Greasy Bottoms is here, says, you think Fauci actually going to get in any kind of trouble? I'm thinking no. I think you're right there, Lorenzo. I don't think that there's anything substantive that comes of it other than we have a very clear delineation of what happened, right? Rand Paul gave us a very clear understanding of that. Kelly Stu says, I think that the money is supposed to follow the child now so that parents have freedom to choose how kids are educated. At least that's what I thought I heard. So in different states, right, they're trying the school choice thing to say, we're just going to give you a voucher. You can take your voucher and go to any school that's on the market. Sort of the idea that, you know, choice might incentivize schools to increase their performance, which I like that idea, right? Markets are better than bureaucrats. We have Angela B says, why does the media government never mention those of us with naturally acquired immunity? Reinfection is extremely rare with us and still get 0 deaths from reinfection. Well, Angela, I don't know. I know that they still want you to get vaccinated. And I don't really know why, but that's what they want. They sort of are not giving us a lot of data on that. I'm going to skip that question. Aircraft mech. Appreciate it, though. I know what you're asking, but I appreciate it. We have Rob, what are the odds that Dr. Fauci will actually see any type of consequence for the crimes against us? 0, right? 0. In the current administration, he is actually like a deified hero, and so nothing's going to happen. They're doing cartwheels. They're writing songs for this man. They are singing, you know, choir things. I don't know. I don't get it at all. Spittling all over myself over here. That's how confused I am. All right, great questions. All of those came over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com, and we appreciate all of your support over there and on YouTube as well. Thanks so much for watching. Before you head out, I want to just remind you that I am a criminal defense lawyer here in Scottsdale, Arizona, where my team and I, we've got a long history of helping good people facing criminal charges to find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases and beyond that in their lives. Our phone number for a free case evaluation is 480-787-0394. You can also find us online at www.rrlawaz.com. We can help with any type of criminal charge in the state of Arizona. Things like DUI, drug offenses, misdemeanor offenses. And we can also help with clearing up old case records, like expunging cases or making sure that you can restore your rights so that you can vote again or possess a firearm again or apply for some other federal benefits. We can remove mugshots off the internet. Basically, anytime that you or somebody you know or love is in trouble with the law in the state of Arizona, we have an amazing team of people. We would just love the opportunity to help. And our phone number, of course, 480-787-0394. And if you don't need any legal services, that's a very good thing, but you may be interested in some informational offerings so that you are prepared if you do have to deal with the police. And of course, I want to invite you to head on over to gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. You'll notice here, I've got several different trainings that are available, including the law enforcement interaction training. This is the 1, 2, 3 rule for dealing with the police. It's one rule you need, 2 questions that the police can ask of you, and 3 responses if they ask you a problematic question. So that's available now. You can also get a load at my personal productivity system here called Existence Systems. Fun little course. And then we have here, if you're a lawyer or a legal professional, be sure to check out this program. We are meeting twice every month. Again, all of this over at gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. And if none of that sounds any good to you, well, just go ahead and give us a follow, because I'm working on some other products and some other offerings. And of course, if you have not already done so, I want to invite you one more time to head on over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. It's where you can support the show, and it's where we can connect. We've got monthly Zoom meetings and a lot of other goodies coming up. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for watching and for all of your love and support. I will see you on the next one.